Doctor. My favourite, I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting next to you, but my favourite Master of Time and Space ever. What was it like to be a Time Lord in such a long-running series?
Well, it was great fun, really, because it was a fulfillment of a fantasy to be able to play such a role. It had been on for 20 odd years before I got it. And when I was young, I watched it, and then people used to say to me afterwards, you know, you'd make a really good Doctor Who. And I thought, yeah, you're kidding, you know, but wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be great? And then I became Doctor Who, which was astonishing, really. So that was, it was a joy, yeah.
Oh, it's a bit of a struggle though, isn't it, taking on, becoming a new Doctor. Okay, so you get to regenerate, so it's a chance for you to reinvent the character, although it's continuing along one timeline. But isn't it a bit of a struggle to win over the audience when you take on the role?
Yeah, when you, usually when a new Doctor arrives, there is this very small minority of ardent fans who, you know, don't like the idea. Although they should be used to it by then. I was 7. And, you know, there's 7 different actors, they must be used to the idea. The first time it happened, it was very strange. No one had ever done anything quite like that when Patrick Troughton took over. By the time I arrived, you know, others had taken over, but still, they were unforgiving for a while. And they, you know, they'd rather have their old Doctor. But then eventually, you know, they get to love you.
At any point did you feel like you wanted to give up? But at that point, you were trying to win over the audience?
Not really, no. No, I didn't really. I was very ignorant of what had gone before because we didn't have VCRs or any means of recording. So I hadn't really seen much stuff of the other Doctors because I'd been working in the theatre and hadn't seen much television really. So I wasn't worried about what had gone before. Partly just because of ignorance. I had no idea what had gone before. So ignorance was bliss. And I was alright, I got on with it, you know. That was good.
You mentioned there your previous career in the future. You're the Royal Shakespeare Company.
National Theatre. I've done everything in show business. I've done everything except ballet. Someone looked at my CV, actually, the producer of Doctor Who, Jonathan Turner, and he said, you have done everything. I've done street theatre, I've blown fire, I've exploded bombs on my chest, I've escaped from mailbags, I've been in Grand Opera, I've done Shakespeare, I've done Beckett, I've done modern plays, I've been in musicals, I've been in operettas. There isn't anything I haven't done in the theatre except ballet.
Well, as it happens, ladies and gentlemen,
all right, yes.
The ballet segment from Sylvester McCoy.
Bring on my tutu. Well, away we go.
Who's got the tutu?
Yes.
Well, you've also, having performed so many different mediums, and then more recently, having the role of Crown Wizard broadcast in the series of the Hobbit.
You mean
broadcast?
You should do
Actually, we were, sorry, just before we were talking backstage. You mentioned about the politeness of our music, the Scottish dialect, but also, you're not the only Scottish Doctor Who, you have a theme. Do you think that was you that said that?
Yes, well, now, yeah, the 3rd Doctor coming along with Scott. But my theory for that is, I don't know if you know this, but in Glasgow, there is a permanent police box. It's there in Sucking-Hall Street. And it's, you know, it's what the TARDIS was based on, this police, one of the police boxes. It's still there. And on a Friday night, they do like to drink rather a lot in Scotland, especially on a Friday night when they get paid. So they all come out of the pub very drunk and they go up to the TARDIS, you know, the police box. They're banging on the door saying, come on in, let me in, I'm the new Doctor, come on, let me in. And every now and again the door opens, you know, and Scott falls in and he becomes Doctor Who. That's how I got the job. That's how David Tennant got the job, and I'm sure that's how Phil got the job.
Okay, we should try it, we need a female one at some point.
That's the head, that's what you got to do. So,
actually, I'm not going to lie, I have actually done that on the TARDIS on the Old Street.
Yes.
If you ever visit Scotland, go check it out. It's a very famous street indeed. So I started to go on to The Hobbit, and it's really less about the Hobbit. I'm sure we'll get plenty of questions from the audience on that. I'm interested in how you've adapted to different mediums for filming, from stage to television to film, and then something like the Hobbit filmed in different ways, using green screen in New Zealand. How much of a challenge is that for you?
Well, I mean, filming upside down is quite interesting, especially when in Britain, because New Zealand's upside down. So that was, all the blood would go to your head, and all the poo would run upwards. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about this, I love the fact that having challenges of doing something different. As I said, I've done everything except ballet. I've danced in musicals and I've done stuff like that. But I always had this terrible thing. I always said yes. Someone said, "Would you like to do this job?" I say yes, and then try and work out ways of getting out of it afterwards. I'm never quite doing that. And so I've, instantly gone in and just tried to do operetta, acting on a huge stage of 2,500 people, and Shakespeare playing with Ian McKellen, King Lear, and all that kind of stuff. And then at the same time doing a film, which is very intimate, because the camera's right there in your face. And it's really fun trying to work out how to do it. It's a bit scary too. It takes a little while to readjust. I know that Ian McKellen, who's a great theatrical actor, the great Gandalf himself, I know he was worried when we did King Lear. We toured the world with King Lear. And then we filmed it at the end. And when we came to the filming, he was very much nervous about it. Because we had to do it very differently from the way we were doing it for a year and a half. So, but that's a challenge, and the challenge is the fun, really, doing the challenge.
Do you prefer, with stage there is an intimacy and a connection with the audience,
Yeah.
You can hear the response, if there's happiness or sadness, it's immediate. Whereas with film, it's like, you might not know until the cutting room aspect of how it's turned out. But at any points can you sense in the middle of the take, like, yeah, that's going to have a good response, or that's going to be very powerful?
Yeah, there is. It's funny, when you are filming, one of the great things about filming is it becomes internalized, really. And I think when you feel it, you actually feel it inside the moment. And you feel the honesty in yourself, inside your body. It's almost orgasmic in a way. You feel you've got it. Sometimes it's only fleeting, and it's hard to catch hold of again. But when you get it, it's a really great feeling. You think, wow, I like that. I hope they like it, because, and that's one of the drawbacks of film. They're only jigsaws, they're only parts of the jigsaw. The whole thing is made by directors and technicians, and you don't know what the final cut will be. Whereas if you're in this play, you know what you're doing, you know your relationship with the audience. And I worked with some great directors. One of them, Jonathan Wood, said once that when you're on that stage, you're all gods. No matter what part you've got, the smallest part, you're all gods on that stage. If you're in the darkened room, you look much bigger than you are. The audience are focusing on you, and so it's a great place to be for a little while. But filming is very different. But again, it's exciting trying to get that.
Yeah, it's a challenge of it.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference between stage and screen?
No, I like both really. I mean, I've done a lot of stage work, but now I'm getting a bit older, and I quite like the fact that doing film. It's kind of some people get bored with filming because you hang around for a lot. You hang around, dressing, waiting to go on and do a few seconds of work, and sometimes you're called in, and then because of weather or something happens, you never do anything. A lot of actors find that really boring. I find it, I just chill. I go to a Zen place, just chill. Quite like that, really.
Especially when being at Comic-Con, for example, because you have high periods of time where things are moving quickly, and then it's a back and forth, so I guess it's good training in that sense. I wanted to go back to Doctor Who, because I've heard along the lines different doctors have had input onto the design of their TARDIS. And there's also a little bit about my TARDIS and bigger than your TARDIS competition. Did you ever experience that with him?
Well, no. I remember when I remember wanting a punk, steampunk TARDIS interior, which I eventually got, really, because when we made the Paul McGann film, well, actually no, it's the Sylvester McCoy and Paul McGann film, I was in it first. That was my TARDIS. That's my internal. It's not the Paul McGann inside. It's my inside. And I was very pleased to get. I mean, that was my ideal. So in a way, I got what I wanted, just by chance. I mean, they didn't ask me, but that's what I would like to have had. So I was quite pleased that I got that.
I've always wondered, do you still have the scarf?
Well, you see, the scarf thing is Tom Baker. Tom Baker wore that big scarf.
Sorry, yes. You have the umbrella, but
yeah, I've still got the umbrella. I've still got that, really. That's my idea, because when I took over from Colin Baker, the scene that he, damaged it and changed it to me, he had an umbrella. But it was a golf umbrella, a big one. I remember thinking, so I had that in my very first episode, an umbrella, and I thought, I'd like to keep that as a prop, only I'd like to make it the way I want it. So I designed that umbrella with a question mark. But I did have a scarf, a small scarf, but that was in, kind of respect for the big scarf. Because everybody said, oh, Doctor Who, the scarf. And so I wore a scarf. And the first time, there are some photographs around with me in the costume, and it's a tartan scarf. Then the producer suddenly said, no, we don't want you to be known as that Scottish, we don't want to make it so obvious. So we'll change it. And he said, there's some scarves there, choose one. So I looked at the one